All right, Coach.
I'll touch on Wisconsin. I thought that Marcus was in a special place. I think that was fun to see. I thought it was a very good game from an execution standpoint on that end, and then I thought we had several really good defensive sequences. A big one in the first half. I thought we withstood the emotion of Howard being back in the building and that whole ceremony, of which I was touched by, and everybody knew Howard, and you know, the emotion of that was evident early in the game, and but I thought we made stops and had, you know, I think we had a sequence, we had 7 or 8, so that was very positive. So it's always good to get a win against a team that was, I think, ranked as high as 6th this season at one point. So tomorrow is I think what we see is the common new era of senior days. I think we've got a new pattern or routine. We've got a little bit of everything. First of all, we've got 3 wonderful managers that will go through the process. John Phelan, Macy Mishevitz, and Jaden Katz, all 3 have been instrumental in what they've been able to help us with. And then we've got everything from a first-year guy who scored his first career basket with us, and Max Williams, to a 2,000-point scorer. Another one who's going to pass 2,000 in TJ. We've got a 4-year guy. We've got a 3-year guy in Luke Goody who will walk because he's graduating from the Geese School of Business with a degree in business, and we felt it very important to be able to recognize that. And then you got, you know, there's 3 grad transfers in here. So it is really a unique day and kind of the modern day basketball world that we're living in, where we see a wide spectrum of guys. So it's a very accomplished group. Quincy's a 1,500-point scorer. Justin, Coleman are both approaching 1,000 in their careers. So this has been an extremely fun group to coach. By far and away the most pleasurable year, just with character, with fun, with guys that work, guys have bought into our culture, all the ups and downs of a season, and everything that this group has gone through. This one will always hold a really special place. Hopefully there's a lot of chapters left to write yet, but this has been an incredible group, and from the walk-ons to the 4-year guys with Coleman, it's been really special. All these guys have different decisions and different directions to go after the season. That'll be for that time. We'll discuss all those things, but for the moment, this is a very special night.
Coach, as you said, 4 of your seniors are one-time transfers. Could you just walk through the process first, just identifying those guys that fit, that were in the portal, and then integrating them into the program and getting them to play as a cohesive unit?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we knew we wanted size, we knew we needed scoring, we knew we needed shooting, and you know, I think that you look at Quincy was a guy that we were obviously very familiar with out of high school. He fit what we were looking for in a combo forward spot. You've got to go back to the moment now where we've got a couple of guys in the draft, and so we don't know what our roster looks like. This is the biggest problem we have in college sports, in basketball anyway, is the calendar. So we don't know what we have, but we knew Quincy. Could fill a lot of roles. He played the 3 a lot in Oregon. He played the 4 at Syracuse. We knew he was a great rebounder. He fit, made 55 plus threes a year ago. So he fit. Justin had an unbelievable career at Utah Valley, and was a guy that was a part of a winning program. He's a guy that could score it. He could defend it. He fit what we were looking for. You know, then Marcus was a guy that you know, you don't find 2,000 point scorers. You know, realistically, that's what he would have been had he played a full season, not a fourth of one, but or a third of one, whatever it was. But his versatility was a big piece of that. All of these guys have been coached. That was a big part of it. Character was a big part of it with all these guys. They all wanted to be at Illinois for the right reasons, and that was to be a part of winning and success. So you know, you throw in TJ as a transfer. You throw in, you know, all these guys. You know, we do our work. We're diligent in the character pieces that we look for, and have a pretty exact idea of what we're looking for. So yeah, we feel like we hit a home run in the portal, a grand slam.
Last time you faced Purdue, no TJ, and it was 2 months ago. What from that game informs preparation for tomorrow?
Well, we were never in it. I mean, we made a run. They whooped us. They physically just manhandled us. They were more ready to play. They were more ready to be in that game. Even though we were in the top 10, they controlled the boards. They dominated the offensive glass. Every time we tried to make a run, it was an offensive rebound for a 3. I think there were 3 or 4 of them in the game. You know, we scored a boatload of points in the second half, but you know, you can't dig yourself out of a hole. You know, when you're 20-4, we made a run, made another run late, but you know, it was a pretty thorough butt kicking, to be honest. And you know, obviously, we were playing without Terrence. You know, first really. You know, Tennessee was a great environment, but really kind of first nasty environment. And we were, you know, they punched us, and it took us a while to get off the mat, to be very honest. So we got to match the physicality of the game, because we did not in the first game.
But it seems like with these 3 guys you added this offseason, from our vantage point, like, it looked like you were very intentional about who you wanted to move quickly to go get them. I guess, how would you describe what your approach was with those 3 guys in particular out of the portal?
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, we've got a great staff, and I mean, when guys show up on the portal, I mean, we were, you know, we had the idea, we had the blueprint of what we were looking for, and you know, then it's more about, and I think this is the hard part, it's about the character piece as much as anything. It's who fits. Nobody wants to bring a knucklehead in, or a guy that's a problem or doesn't fit or causes chaos in your locker room. And these guys have been incredible, but they checked all the boxes. And you know, you can sit and watch film all you want, and you know, we have a very matter-of-fact approach with them. We pretty much told them what we were looking for. We told them the scenario coming in, and you know, I think in each of their cases it's been a great fit, both ways, for both sides.
Considering you've been around him for almost every day, during the season at least, how would you describe the 4-year Coleman Hawkins experience?
Fun. I think it's what college coaches get in this for. I think they come in as young boys and 18-year-olds who don't have a clue what's going on, and they leave as grown men who understand responsibility, accountability. I mean, you guys could sit out there and document the Coleman Hawkins maturation process, and there's still a slip up every now and then, but just the young guy, and I couldn't be happier with Coleman. Loved him in the recruiting process, just loved his skill set, loved what he could be. Goes through it a little bit as a freshman on a good team. As a sophomore, just gets dealt all kinds of adversity. And, you know, starting, hadn't earned it, didn't deserve it, to be honest. I gave it to him, to getting benched and playing very little, and just stays with it. And just stays with it. And he had a dad who was a great player. His dad has been instrumental in helping him, guide him through that. Comes back, has a really good junior year. Not great, but had a good one. And some ups and downs in that. Responsibility heaved on his shoulders with an all-new team, a young freshman team, basically. And he grew with that team. He helped guide that team. Frustrations? Yeah, sure. But the one thing that Coleman will always be, I'll always remember Coleman for, is his extreme competitiveness. His actions sometimes are misguided because they think some people think it's just immature, it's this or that. It's all in competition. And great teammate, guy that's got great personality. He's funny. He's, you know, I'm so happy for him that he's had the senior year that he's had, because he's been phenomenal. He finally listened and shot the ball. You know, instead of trying to be, you know, a 6'10" point guard all the time, but he's gone through the gamut, and that's what this used to be about, and he's going to be better for it beyond his time here.
You talked about the physicality against Purdue in the first game, but so how do you practice as a team to prepare yourself for a team that has a guy like Zach Edey?
Well, you don't practice it for it. I mean, you know, let Scott grow a foot and 300 pounds, and I'm not making fun of your weight, but I'm just saying you can't practice that. And so, you know, we dealt with it with Kofi. We know what that's like. It's the other guys that whipped us. You know, Zach's going to get his. You're not going to prevent him. He's that different. You hope to make it hard. You hope to make him, you know, it's the number 2 and 3 offenses in the country going at it. You hope to make him have to do some things on the other end. But, you know, Kaufman-Renn, and Gillis and Morton, and all those other guys, they just annihilated us. I mean, Braden Smith had 2 offensive rebounds. I mean, they just physically played harder than we did, and just absolutely whipped us. So it's not just Zach, but you know, you got to do some different things to Zach, but you can still do all you want. And there's some baskets he's going to score.
Another Zach Edey question. I mean, is there kind of a balance you got to achieve between, you know, being aware of him and then not letting him completely change what you do?
Yeah, it's what makes them hard to play. You know, Braden's going to be first team all league, in my opinion. I think Braden Smith's been, you know, most improved player from freshman to sophomore in the league, maybe in the country. He's had a phenomenal year. All the other guys are great pieces, and you know, you can, you know, first game, you know, we give up 23 to a guy, and Jones has had 17, and you know, and there was a lot of help, a lot of support shown towards Zach. But you know, I think that there's some give and take. There's no doubt what you do. Braden's been dynamic in ball screens and making the right reads and probing. You know, Lawyer's a terrific shooter. Gillis shoots it. So yeah, it's a fine line. That's why they're as good as they are, and it's all because of Zach and the approach you take towards him.
But I know we've talked about just opposing teams putting a 5-on tie, and in that conversation you made mention of not every team has a Zach Edey. So how do you, I'm going to ask you how you approach it, you're not going to tell me that, but like, do you feel like you're better equipped now with the season worth
Yes.
of that to
Yeah.
approach that matchup?
Yeah, it was early, and we didn't have TJ, and he got good looks. Ty got some really, really good looks, and you know, I think where we got in trouble at a couple different points in that game that didn't have anything to do with that matchup. You know, I thought we offensively were in a pretty good place, especially after the start. I think we turned it over 3 of our first 4 possessions in that game. That's not a very good start in Mackey, but you know, Marcus found his spots. You know, we got some good looks from 3, but you know, it's you know, we'll see how they match us. Now they've got a little different decision to make with TJ in the lineup.
So you get to summer and have your team feel like you've added the right guys that fit every criteria. But when did you know that, as you admitted, kind of a strange amalgamation was going to work?
I liked him in Spain because we were really coachable. Going through the 10 days of practice, we were really coachable. To me, it then became about role identification and then seeing how the freshmen developed. If I think there's been one hiccup to this point, it's been Nico and Amani's injuries. You know, that were a little bothersome from that time. But I liked this team a lot, and I felt like we had guys that we could put in a game and really help us. And you know, obviously there's different points in the season with different circumstances and TJ's situation and those injuries that have forced us to play maybe not as deep as we wanted to, but you know, probably after the FAU game, I felt like we could be, you know, a team that could handle the moment, handle situation. You never know, you know, until, you know, Marcus goes into that environment and plays like he did, and Quincy at Tennessee, and you know, those challenges were great for us, and gave me a pretty positive viewpoint.
Brad, Luke went for a rebound at Wisconsin. It looked like he took kind of a hard fall. We didn't see him in the game after that. Is he available for you and healthy?
Luke's been fighting a really bad ankle. So he twisted an ankle. It's been black and blue. He did it actually a couple games ago in practice. Landed shooting a jump shot on a foot and he's had some swelling. But he's pretty close to 100%.
You've mentioned before with Justin about how maybe nobody else on this team has sacrificed himself more comparatively to what he was before or what he could be. What do you hope he takes from this year, or that he has taken from this year?
Yeah, that he can play. They can play at the highest level and be a very, very good player. And he's elevated his game every day. I think he's turned himself into a really, really good two-way player. I've demanded that he be that guy defensively every day. It hasn't always been easy. There's been some, I think, lessons along the way that you've got to learn. But he is such a wonderful young man, and he's an Illini through and through. He's so proud to be here and be a part of this, and that has helped him go from being a guy who was basically a starter to a guy that I think is a legit six-man of the year type guy, and a valuable. I mean, if there's a sixth starter, he's it. And yeah, he's been instrumental. He's helped us win a lot of games.
Obviously, this game against Purdue has been circled on the calendar for a long time. But how do you keep the emotions of these guys in check and kind of keep the same approach even in such a big game like this?
I have a circle that just so you know. Yeah, it's really hard to explain, and Derek and I mean, this league is so good, and yet they're the second team. The second game we played against a ranked opponent in league play, and that's them. And what they've done, they've been the talk of college basketball all year. Obviously, Zach's going to be National Player of the Year again, and so there's a ton of attention put on that. But it's another conference game. It's a great opponent, and I've got all the respect. And you know, they're a team that probably a odds-on favorite to win a national championship, but. That doesn't mean we're not going to go out there and fight and compete. And it's another game, and we want to find out and measure where we're at and see if we're better than we were 2 months ago. And you know, they've proven to be human at times and been knocked off. And you know, we've got to go out, and I expect we'll get their best game, and you know, we're going to try to give them ours.
I guess as you have maybe more of these one-off seasons with the guy transfer, just what kind of impact can they still make, maybe just to the overall program in maybe not even a calendar year in Champaign?
Oh, they're huge. You know, and again, I think it's about finding the right people. I think it's about, you know, not just letting this be a stop for a player. I think it's about finding the players who want to be a part of Illinois basketball. And I think being a part of something that means as much to them as it does having for us as a coaching staff, being able to coach them and get them through their last year. I think it's important that character piece be utilized, and I couldn't be happier with how important it is for these guys to be part of Illini basketball, and I think that's helped them have successful careers, and whether it's 1 year or however long it is. Today's world, it is what it is, but I think like I said, I think we had a grand slam with these three in character and who they are and what they stand for.
Usually by this point, you guys have played more than one ranked league opponent. By your observation, like, what's that say, if anything, about the Big Ten this year and just kind of the topsy-turvy nature of the way it goes?
This league's a monster. This league is a monster. I think our 13th place team has 7 wins. I think I think the 12th and 13th place teams, or 11th and 11th, 13th maybe, are the top 2 defensive teams in the league. I don't think we get near enough credit for how good this league is offensively. I think there's a horrible scenario out there that we're big, slow, blah, 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 and this league's not that. This league is terrific. I think you got a team at Michigan State who was ranked 2nd to start the season, played the world's one of the greatest schedules, toughest schedules. Wisconsin's been as high as ranked as 6th. I think you've seen just an incredible job by Fred at Nebraska, Ben at Minnesota. You know, Penn State's playing and had a great year, coming off a coaching change and a great year. So I think you've seen the teams at the bottom that have been there just make huge strides, and that's the sign of a great league. And you know, it's great coaches, great players. I say it all the time. And then the one thing that I always fall back: great fan bases, great arenas, great venues, and it makes it pretty special.
Thank you.